New York City, a place that never sleeps, never slows down, and rarely quiets down. Sirens at 3 a.m., trains shaking apartment walls, the endless chorus of honking cabs. Sound here is just part of the deal. Most people stop noticing it after a while, but some just can't. This is the story of three New Yorkers fighting for that rare luxury, peace and quiet.
We understand that there's a certain level of noise activity that happens in a big city like this, but we're talking about excessive noise that is man-made, noise that starts to negatively impact people's daily quality of life, and particularly impacting our ability to sleep and work and heal.
But why is New York so loud, and how did it get this way? The answer in many ways lies in history. Noise grew with people. Wave after wave of immigrants, workers, dreamers, all packed into the same streets, the same buildings. Then came industrialization, construction, the relentless push upward and outward. And then the car, millions of them, turning every avenue into a canyon of sound. But since we've had noise, we've also had noise complaints. Historical records from the 1930s show neighbors complaining about traffic, industry, and each other. Now, for many New Yorkers, noise is just sound, an annoyance they shrug off.
It's New York City. I just expect that there's going to be noise, there's going to be ambulances, there's going to be chaos. And I survive by using my AirPods, which I always keep handy because it blocks out some of the noise.
You know, we're lucky we have like double pane windows.
I listen to music and I mind my own business.
White noise machines.
I think, one thing that would be nice is just like removing the cars.
But what if noise is more than a nuisance? Because beneath the frustration, the sleepless nights, and the constant hum, science tells a different story.
Yeah, physiologically, sound has a big impact, of course, through your sleep cycle, your ability to rest and recover. But in many places in the city, it's been documented that there is impact on restful sleep, and particularly for vulnerable communities and older adults. Let alone in some neighborhoods, noise can be loud enough where it's above the threshold for safe hearing.
One study by Columbia University found that 9 out of 10 New Yorkers are at risk of some hearing loss from daily exposure to noise levels exceeding 70 decibels. And most New Yorkers have no idea.
April of 2020, we were so inundated with all of the problems, from dirt bikes 24/7, fireworks 24/7, street parties, open restaurants. The first place we had to start was to actually convince people, to educate people that excessive noise is a public health issue. What is a decibel level? What does that do to your hearing? What does it do to your psychology? What does it do to your nervous system? We educated ourselves.
Awareness is slowly growing. Starting in 2003, the city launched 311 for residents to submit non-emergency complaints. The very first call that was made through that system? A noise complaint. But it's hard to enforce noise laws. Often neighbors turn down music or construction stops, but then it's back. And for many city officials and police, it's just not a priority.
Every year, Alan gets frustrated calls from apartment dwellers who say the businesses below are blaring music, disturbing their peace.
A lot of bar owners are under the impression that they're going to lose a lot of business if they don't have loud sound.
Firestein took the I-Team out on a busy Friday night.
The sound from this bass is going up to over 80 decibels.
Just about everywhere we turned,
that's a violation.
He found illegal levels of sound.
Tanya Bonner decided to start a task force in her neighborhood in Washington Heights.
When we started talking about noise, people literally would laugh at us. And I'm talking about our own elected officials. They didn't think it was a big deal. Why are you complaining about noise? This is New York City. We had to start to hold our elected officials accountable because that's part of their role. We held a meeting with the New York City Department of Environmental Protection. And we talked about the city's noise code. Most people are not aware the city has a noise code. All of these things that are happening in our community are actually illegal. So we're still having some of these problems. We haven't alleviated everything, but I feel that we've made some progress.
Not everyone feels like progress is happening fast enough. Starting in 2020, Dietmar Dietering took matters into his own hands and started filing his own noise complaints.
I'm like a little bit noise obsessed maybe, so I sleep with earplugs. That probably tells you enough. I fell in love with the Citizen Air Complaint Program, which reports idling vehicles. I once recorded an idling ice cream truck where I had trouble recording it because its jingle was so loud that you couldn't hear the already quite loud engine. And I shared my frustration with a few people in the community of these air complaint folks, activists. And one of the lawyers said, well, you know, you could report that truck for a noise violation. And I'm like, I can do what? I can file a noise complaint and force the city to take action. Other than the 311 complaint process that like New Yorkers are regularly familiar with, the citizen complaint processes have more teeth. They force the city to take action, and if the city fails to take action, you have the right to pursue the case yourself.
I did like about 100 complaints along Roosevelt Avenue, and then after that, when I saw that my complaints did not yield the expected result, I continued filing more. Confidence in the system by folks living here is somewhat reduced. They see the subways crazy loud. That communicates a neglect by city authorities. In order for the city to restore the trust and the confidence of the people living here, the people would want to see some action, some results. I think neighborhoods get used to a certain level of noise. Like if you frequent here, maybe you think this is normal. Maybe this is legal, maybe this is okay, maybe I can't do anything about it. This is the way it is. But there are many neighborhoods where this is unthinkable. I think it could be good for business to have proper noise enforcement and businesses competing with one another for customers by providing better service and better prices. Let the better business survive and not the loudest.
Residents like Bonner and Dietering are fighting back, pushing city officials to take responsibility. But noise in New York doesn't affect everyone the same way. Neighborhoods like Washington Heights and the Bronx have had the most complaints in recent years. They're also where large immigrant, low-income, and communities of color live.
But I want to emphasize that we still haven't been able to really get everybody to understand that this is an environmental justice issue, meaning that communities that are majority, minority, and immigrant are really the ones that are impacted by these type of problems. When a community is at rest, when a community can rest, when a community has time to think, when a community has peace, a community can make change. A community can start to ask important questions. They have time to do that. Their brain has time to kind of settle.
In a city of 8.5 million, people have to get creative and find ways to cope. One New Yorker is even mapping the quietest places she's found in the city, including parks, libraries, and quiet cafes.
I'm the author of Quietest Places in New York City. I'm an artist, an illustrator, and I care about helping people find calm within urban chaos. I started to need to find quiet places, was like a personal necessity for me to live in New York. It has like over 70 locations that are my favorite kind of quiet little pockets in the city to find calm and peace. And there was kind of this moment when I was living in Manhattan where I would go to this waterfall park called Greenacre Park. It's this pocket park that's like steps from the street but has this giant waterfall. And it was a few blocks from where I was living in Midtown East at the time. And it felt like the world froze when I was there. You can't hear the street traffic or any other noise other than this like rushing water. And so finding a place in the heart of the city that I could feel that, it really was this aha moment of I can find calm in this city where there are ways to find quiet even in the craziest part.
Quiet spaces are not just a rare luxury. They're a moment of comfort and peace for many New Yorkers. And while New York City is never going to be silent, something is shifting. More people are noticing the need for quiet places and demanding better. Recently, the city even unveiled an app for residents to file noise complaints more easily. And many more are realizing that fighting noise pollution is not just for their comfort, but for their health and right to rest.
Something in your eyes calls my mind a silver string, and it's all said goodbyes. I'm never gonna dance again.